Welcome to The Lock Shop with Nielson and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a Tuesday episode of The Lock Shop. Nielson and Hustler with you. We're brought to you by Coolbet, who I, of course, apologize to for picking so many winners this past weekend. Huss, what's up, man?
Well, man, what's up is a hell of a weekend, 6 games, 10-2 for the show. But, I mean, I just need to seed back and allow you to do the touchdown dance that you so rightly deserve for going 6-0 against the spread. I mean, what can I say? I just have to sit back and a little golf clap for you, buddy. You got the Rams last night. That was a no stress win last night for you too, considering what was on the line. Trying to get ahead of the karma. I actually paid you the $50 I owed you before the game was even finished. I'm pulling out all the stops to try to maybe get back in it. But all in all, I mean, listen, we ranked our games confidence-wise 1-6. The Arizona Rams game was the least confident game. It was the one, got that one wrong. And yeah, exactly. It was a tougher game. And the only other game we went head-to-head on was Buffalo, New England. We all know how that one ended up, and all the other 4 others, which is incredible. Usually when we're both on the same side, you almost assume that the worst is coming. Not last weekend. So it'll be interesting to talk to Chris on Friday when we do the picks. I'm very interested to see, because the amount of favorites that won and covered this week, I'd be surprised at how this went for the book. Bottom line, for a lot of lock shop bettors, it went great. We hit the partner parlay as well at plus awesome. 400. I mean, honestly, between going 6-0 last Tuesday in the hockey picks and then last football, this could be, we're now more than a year into doing the lock shop together. I think this might be the best week that we've had so far yet. And it's a big week too. The beginning of NFL playoffs, to nail it like that. Oh man, well done.
Yeah, it's you're right. I mean, it probably is the most successful week that we've had. I mean, you've had good weeks. I've had good weeks. We've had the odd good week together, but for us to, I go 6-0, you go 4-2. We hit the partner parlay. We don't miss on a single NHL game last week. What do you call it? The old Barry Horowitz? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah,
is that what we're doing here?
Yeah,
Barry that's what we're doing.
You need to get you one of those T-shirts with a handprint on your back
right
shoulder.
On the back.
You can just keep doing that the entire time. And
well, I'm halfway home. I'm almost halfway home to a perfect playoff. I got 7 games left. Wouldn't that be something?
Listen, that would be the all-timer. Now, again, we got a tough week coming up.
Yes, we do.
And of course, if you're just catching this up, I mean, make sure to subscribe to the podcast. Search Lock Shop on your favorite podcast feed. But we'll be here on Friday with the big show for the weekend in the NFL. We'll break down all 4 games. We'll make our picks against the spread. Maybe add in a few more with only 4 games going on. Yeah. And of course, Chris Abbott will be here to get on it. You know what? While we're doing this because we're going to get into golf and the NHL and maybe a little tennis as well. God, it's great to have the Aussie Open back. Interesting lines right now for these games that have come out for the National Football League this week.
Yeah, I wanted to get a look at those. You're right. We should hit on those.
Yeah, and here's how the schedule works if people haven't paid attention. The Saturday afternoon game is going to be the Tennessee Titans hosting the Cincinnati Bengals. That is at 3.5 right now for the Titans. Interesting. And again, we won't pick these games right now, but just to give you an idea about where things are at right now, you might want to check this. If you do think a line is great and it's going to move as we get closer, there certainly is some benefits at times to jumping on a line early. The last day or so, the Niners were 5.5-point underdogs against the Packers. I'm noticing right now that number's up to 6.
Yeah, it was 5.5 like 2 hours ago. So it's just moved up to 6. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I hadn't seen any number other than 5.5 until we pulled it up right now at Coolbet. Of course, the last game to get on the board was the Rams-Buccaneers game because Tampa knew that they were going to be hosting the winner of last night's game. That one's just a straight-up 3-point favorite for the home team, the Buccaneers. So I think the odds makers kind of going, well, if you subscribe to the 3 points for home field advantage, essentially a pick 'em. And then the main event, Sunday night, Josh Allen Patrick Mahomes, coming off two of the greatest playoff performances in NFL history. Each of them. Chiefs 2.5-point favorites at home against Arrowhead on Sunday. That is going to be, honestly, I mean, I have a lot of skin in the game in this one, but that could be the game of the entire playoffs.
Yeah, that's the game of the season. I mean, it could be like an all-timer we never forget. Like, sure. I can't wait. Josh Allen playing the way he did, coming off that last game. Patrick Mahomes doing what he did. Two of the most fun quarterbacks to watch in the National Football League, going to head with a ton on the line. Winner will be the favorite, I would think, going up again. Well, Titans will be at home, so it'll see how they do that and how they come out of the Bengals. But Bills and Chiefs, no matter who comes out of that game, I'd be picking them to go to the Super Bowl. As far as these lines go, you mentioned the movement with the Niners now sitting at 6. Seeing the Bengals at 3.5. They have it at 3.5 to try to get you on the Bengals right now, Huss, with that hook. Is that what we're seeing right now there, or what do you think about that 3.5?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, certainly that usually is the case. I mean, when you go off of 3, one way or the other, they're trying to get folks to jump on that side. I mean, the Tennessee Titans are the number 1 seed. The Bengals just won their first playoff game in 31 years. So, I mean, it's not like this steamroller going in. But I'll tell you what, I mean, I'm going to think long and hard about this and dig into the game over the next few days. But if you ask me who I'd have more confidence in a playoff game, Joe Burrow or Ryan Tannehill, it's not Ryan Tannehill. I'll tell you that much. Now, there's a lot of other things that go into it. Certainly, I think Vrabel's great. We'll see. It looks like Derrick Henry's going to potentially be back into the lineup, which is huge. But I'm pretty high on Cincy. And, man, they earned that one. Controversial game, that call in the Cincy Raider game. We didn't really get to that yesterday on my show. The whistle on that touchdown that happened. Now, I'll say this. They probably didn't get it right. Yes, the whistle did go slightly before he caught the football, but I really don't think it had any effect on the play. And the other thing about it is, and someone pointed this out to me on Twitter, I can't remember who it was, but if that was reversed, if they said, oh, the whistle gone and it's no touchdown, that would have been more unfair to the Bengals than it was to the Raiders to have that be a touchdown, because the whistle should have never gone. And if you look at the timing of when the ball's out of his hands and when he catches it, it's a split second before it's in the receiver's hands. Although the weirdness of the whistle did certainly affect the celebration. Guys were sort of looking around afterwards.
Yeah, it was awkward.
I mean, I do think they got the right call.
Yeah, I would agree with you. And it was just, it was a weird one to unpack, but I don't think it really impacted the overall play in any way. And like you said, I think they did end up getting it right in the end. So there's an early look ahead. I mean, obviously Friday show is just going to be these NFL picks as we look to try to keep rolling here in the postseason. But those are the numbers right now over at CoolBet, which is the presenting sponsor of the Lock Shop. If you've not yet signed up for a CoolBet account, no better time than football playoffs. So go sign up for an account now. Use the bonus code LOCKSHOP. One word, LOCKSHOP. You get a 100% deposit bonus on initial deposit up to $200. We got our Tuesday picks in the NHL. We got some golf picks as well, Huss. But before we even started recording, going live today, you're like, well, I was up late in the night watching Australian Open and I hit a 3-gamer, I hit a 4-gamer. You're on the Canadian. It was, I mean, you love this stuff. And it's been working for you.
And I get so sucked into this, and especially the Aussie Open more than any tournament because of the nocturnal schedule. I mean, it gets going at around 6:00 for those of us in Canada and goes all through the night. So, usually early on, I'll pick a couple 3 or 4 gamers of some favorites to slight favorites. Little bit of a version of the Cowards parlay, putting a couple in. And anyways, had a couple nice wins yesterday. 1 + 345, 1 + 357. And then I was feeling pretty good. And then I was watching, going back and forth between a couple matches. Andy Murray had a crazy win last night. Going 5, hadn't been there in 3 years. Pretty cool story for him. But on the other TSN channel, of course, it was Felix Auger-Aliassime playing this Finnish dude. And again, there's like 6 U's in his name, so I will butcher it if I try to remember it right now. But this Finnish guy was balling out. Felix came back to win the first set and then lost 6-0 in the second and 6-3. And I will say this, a real fun thing to do, if you do believe that a guy has a lot in the tank or is around turning around, the live betting options on tennis are awesome. I mean, Felix was a massive favorite going into that match. I ended up getting him at plus 227, I think, after the third set. And then got a chance to see him storm back and win a hell of a great match in 5 sets and a nice win. So it was a great start to the Aussie Open. Lots of women's matches a little later on today. So maybe we'll put together a little parlay at the end of the program for you if you want to ride.
I was on, it's a late night for me. I did double down a bit on the Rams again last night. I think I had Rams minus 2.5 and under 58 or something. So that one hit easily. And then I was on, I got a couple other buddies that I work with at TSN. We have a little texting betting group. And I told one of the boys, I said, you make the play tonight. I'm in. I got your back. What's the call? And he ended up going with Miami Heat, Duncan Robinson, over 9 points last night. Finished with 8. Got in foul trouble. I was just like, you got to be kidding me.
You should not be handing the reins off to anybody right now. I mean, it's
a good point.
It's a valiant thing you're doing right now, but it's not in anybody's best interest. When you go 6-0 in hockey and follow it up with 6-0 against the spread, the National Football League, you're taking the wheel, Dusty. So you might want to let those guys that you'll be back at the controls on whatever the selection you guys are going to be making for tonight's action.
Where do you want to go? Golf or hockey first? Where do you want to go here?
Let's fire off the golf. This is kind of an interesting weekend because we've got 2 tournaments.
Yes.
And when I was putting this stuff together, we figured maybe we'd sort of split this up. We've got the Amex happening here in North America and an event overseas in Abu Dhabi. And I kind of wanted to touch on this one because I do remember us getting to it last year. And, in the early era of the lock shop, first few times we did golf bets. These Abu Dhabi events are interesting because, you often will have some of the, honestly, the top players in the world because of the money that's there.
Huge money.
And this event is absolutely no different. If you look at the odds that are up there, there's Rory McIlroy, who's always seemingly going to be there. And now Colin Morikawa. And Morikawa signed a deal. I guess he's going to be participating in a bunch of these. So you look at the top of the odds board, McIlroy, Morikawa, Victor Hovland, 7-1 on McIlroy and Morikawa, and 10-1 on Vic. Rory has a great history at this event. I don't think he's won it, but I think he's been the runner-up like 4 times. He's always around in the mix. Morikawa doesn't have as much of a history there, but Morikawa playing on the European Tour events last year, was incredible and ended up winning the Dubai Championship at the end of last season. So to me, I'm not putting them on the card just because the lines are so short. And to be honest, I think even with Rory's incredible success there in history, I think honestly Morikawa would be the guy that I'd pick. And I think Vic at 10-1 is just long enough of a number. So, a couple things about the selections that I'm throwing down today. First of all, it is weird, but if you go back and look at this event historically, it's won by a Brit almost every year. And one of those guys that's done it twice is Tommy Fleetwood. And Fleetwood is coming in at 25-1. And I'll include Tyrrell Hatton because he is the defending champion of this event at 25-1. So, when you've got this sort of success, certainly recent success. And, Fleetwood's wins were a few years ago, but he was runner-up a couple years ago. I mean, both of these guys, they regularly play this event. They've done very well in it. And obviously, they're elite players at 25-1. So I thought there was good value towards the top of the board. And maybe that's just because it's so heavily weighted towards that top 3. So Fleetwood and Hatton, both former winners. Fleetwood's done it twice, getting a 25-1. Love those selections. And then for a little bit of a longer shot, another Brit, Matt Wallace, is another guy, finished tied for 7th when he was last there, and has had some strong performances over in the Middle East when playing in Dubai. So a little sprinkle on Matt Wallace, but the 2 solid picks where I think we're getting some pretty good value considering how they stack up against the rest of the field and what they've done in Abu Dhabi is Tommy Fleetwood and Tyrrell Hatton, both available at 25-1 right now at Coolbet.
Yeah, and I'm getting to the American Express. You mentioned the Amex PGA West is where, of course, they're headed for this event. 3 guys that I like. One's a pretty long shot that actually I really like for maybe a top 20, top 10. Probably get some decent value. And that's Michael Thompson. I'll get to him in a second. Let's start with Scotty Scheffler. As far as golfers in the world who've not won one yet, I think Scotty Scheffler probably is on the list for many guys as the best one. Don't you think, Huss?
Top of the list. There's no doubt about it. I mean, after the way he played at the Ryder Cup last year and making the team, we're sort of waiting on this. I mean, I love the fact I will ride with you on Scotty Scheffler. This is the sort of event I could see him winning. Although, you do have the likes of a Pat Cantlay, who I think was the runner-up last year. He's just 9-1.
John Rahm's at this event. He's plus 650.
Exactly. And what, but much like, having Rory and Morikawa at 7-1 at Abu Dhabi, when you got a guy that's 6.5 to 1 and a guy that's 9 to 1, if you don't bet those guys, obviously there's a chance that they just go and run away with it. You get a better number on these other players. So Scotty, I think the fact that he's only 20 to 1 shows that everyone is expecting him to win relatively soon, but he's a top player on the planet. He's got to get that monkey off his back soon. And why not this week?
He gets a win at some point this year. I hope we're on it in the lock shop when he does. Finished very strong in the fall. And at this event in 2020, he finished 3rd. So he's had success on this track at PGA West. So Scotty Scheffler at plus 2,020 to 1. Answer at plus 3,200. Didn't start 2022 great, but he's been excellent at PGA West, where they're headed again. T18 in 2019, finished 2nd in 2020, and T5 in 2021. All right, so this is a guy who's been all around it at this course, at this event. So I like Answer at 30. I like Answer in a lot of different events. I know we went with him. I personally went with him a few times last year. So I'm going to go back to Answer here at plus 3,200. And then my long shot, Michael Thompson at 99 to 1. Heading into the holiday season, cashed in 5 straight events, then rose to a T5 just last week with a Sunday best 63, and he's got 2 top 10s at PGA West and was top 5 last year. And he's 99 to 1, and top 20 is plus 250. So I love him for top 20 at plus 250. I'm all over this.
I'm so glad we did both of these tournaments today, because with your football winnings and my run on tennis last night, I'm going to be able to hit all these guys. And I said to you in the text beforehand, should we do one or the other? I'm like, let's do them both. Let's see if we can get a winner in both.
Can you imagine if we nailed both tournaments, both events? That'd be insane.
That would mean another victory lap coming up on next Tuesday's show, which would be nice. I could get used to this. There's no doubt
that would be good.
That.
You're right.
This is an interesting event, though. It's just, we mentioned, Scheffler's up there at 20. Hey, my guy Tony Finau is up 22 to 1 right now. He's had some good success at that tournament before. Sung Jae 22, Corey Connors 25 to 1, and Corey, of course, was had a good week last week, just not quite there in the mix since Sunday. But it should be a great weekend. It's interesting. It's very rare where you'll have a weekend like this with 2 events happening simultaneously on different sides of the planet with such a pretty even delineation between the top players.
That's the best part. You're right.
Yeah, totally. So, I mean, I didn't want to miss either of them. So there you go. I got you covered for Abu Dhabi and Dusty with the Amex on the PGA Tour.
All right, let's get to some Tuesday NHL sprinkles. Huge week last week, 6-0. We had one game that we were the same on, but 6-0 last week with our picks. I didn't put the parlay numbers in here. I have 2 bets on the same Florida game, so I'll probably have to build that if I want. But Huss, you're on Florida Calgary as well, so let's start with that game because you're on them. I'm on them in a couple of different ways, so let's talk about Florida Calgary.
I mean, and this is not good for listeners in the northern Alberta viewing area, considering what's coming to the Oilers' home building on Thursday night. But the Panthers are playing like the scariest team in the National Hockey League right now. They're coming in, putting up, I think they scored 16 goals in their last 2 games, if I'm adding up correctly. They're just destroying teams right now. And to be honest, they are coming from one of the most difficult areas and neighborhoods of the National Hockey League over to the Pacific Division in Edmonton and in Calgary and Edmonton, where there's a couple teams that are not going in the right direction, especially in Northern Alberta. As far as this game tonight, the Flames, much like Edmonton did, lost to that buzzsaw that is the Ottawa Senators. But again, they're just moving up, not just a weight class. I would offer they're moving up a couple weight classes to the upper echelon of the National Hockey League right now. And the way Florida's playing, it's pretty tough not to back them on a nightly basis. They've been making a lot of people a lot of money so far this year. And I made the pick yesterday before getting confirmed goalies, but I mean, you would think that with the time off, they'll be ready and it'll be all hands on deck. Important game for Calgary, who now is sort of like right there flirting with the playoff line in an area like where the Winnipeg Jets are right now. But Florida's been one of the best teams this season. They are absolutely rolling right now. So they're getting the first tick on the card. Next up, we've got Vancouver at Nashville. This is an underdog play. Nashville played last night against the St. Louis Blues. And, Vancouver's been really good, so far with what they've been able to do under Bruce Boudreau. Been very impressed with them. Obviously, they're not going to win every game. They did have that 3-game losing streak, but came back with a nice win over the Washington Capitals in their last game. And now they get a Predators team that I think is due maybe for a little bit of a, shall we say, maybe a night off, if you will, considering they just played a tough divisional game against the St. Louis Blues last night on the road. Had to come back and get right back ready to do it to start a homestand tonight against the Vancouver Canucks. So at plus money, plus 125, love the value on Vancouver. And then I figured, well, let's get another selection to round out a parlay. And I don't know if you can do better than just essentially fading the Montreal Canadiens right now. The Dallas Stars haven't been playing very well lately, but they're going to be home hungry, ready to make a bit of a statement, get back in the win column. They're desperate. They've fallen out by points percentage outside of the playoff line right now. So you have to make hay against teams like the Montreal Canadiens, who, of course, just played yesterday in the worst matchup all season anyone will see between the Arizona Coyotes and the Montreal Canadiens. So the puck line, I mean, it's a crazy number right now, minus 125. I think it might have gone to minus 130 on the matchup, but I'll add that in. So if you put those in, we're looking at a parlay of about plus 537, I believe. Panthers right now are minus 141. It's minus 130 on the Stars puck line. And the Canucks number has gone down a little bit too. Obviously, I think people realizing Nashville played last night. Now it's just down to plus 109. But you put those together, got about plus 530 on a parlay over at CoolBet.
I'll stick with that Florida Calgary game in a second. Then I'll get to Carolina as well. I like Florida to win, so I'm going to take them in regulation to get it done. Plus 113 to avoid overtime and win in regulation tonight. Anytime you can get a team like Florida plus money in regulation, gladly hop on that. So I'm going to take Florida in regulation plus 113. And then you mentioned it. Florida's been scoring 4 goals, 5 goals, 6 goals, 9 goals, 7 goals, 9 goals. Like it's been insane. Calgary on the other side of this. Calgary has allowed at least 4 in 6 of their last 7. Like, they're no longer keeping the puck out of the net. So I dove into it a little bit. I moved the number around. Florida over 3.5 goals tonight is minus 114. So almost plus money to get Florida over 3.5 goals, a team that literally can't miss right now, going up against a team that has allowed 4 in 6 of their last 7. So I like that play. I think Florida can score 4 goals tonight, so I'm going to take that at minus 114. So a couple of different plays in that Florida-Calgary game than you have them on the money line. And then Carolina, same type of deal. Boston's been playing great lately. They have. But Tuukka Rask, I believe, is getting this start. First start he had, I think it was Philly. I might be wrong, but I think it was Philly. Philly and Carolina. That's a little bit of a different beast. You can get Carolina just to win money line as a dog. When I see these teams as dogs, I got to take these plays. So I'm going to go Carolina, money line dog tonight on the road against Boston, who has been playing well. But Carolina, in my opinion, is a tier up from the Boston Bruins. And to get them as an underdog and Tuukka Rask just playing his second game in months, I like Carolina in that spot. So I'm going to go Carolina, money line, and then a couple different plays on Florida tonight.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Listen, we're picking around the top of the charts in the National Hockey League right now. We gushing over Florida, deservedly so, with what they're doing. To me, Carolina is one of those other teams in that heavyweight weight class of the National Hockey League. In a lot of ways, we think back to that division, which was sort of our old stomping grounds back with the Jets when they entered the league, the old Southeast Division. Honestly, Tampa, Florida, and Carolina. I know not in the same division this year. They were last year, of course, with the just the divisional play. You could safely say those are three of the top five teams in the National Hockey League right now. Add in, whether it's Colorado and Vegas, or at least have had a great season so far this year as to where we're at right now. But, make no mistake about it. Rod Brindamore's team are a Stanley Cup contender. And they make you earn. If you're going to come out with points against the Carolina Hurricanes, you're going to earn it. And tell you what, I can't disagree, especially with Tuukka coming back and just kind of getting his feet wet once again and reminding him what it's like to be a starting goalie in the National Hockey League.
Buddy, one last thing on the National Hockey League here. The Eastern Conference, these top-end teams we just talked about, they're all so good. The playoffs are done. It's locked in. You could start them today.
Over.
Like, the 8 teams that are going to the playoffs have basically already been decided. And maybe there's a massive collapse, but with the 8 teams that are locked in there, I just don't see it. And with the 8 teams that are on the outside looking in, none of them, I look at all of those teams, I go, yeah, you're not getting any better. You're not getting any better. You're not getting any better. I can't remember the time that the 8 playoff spots were locked up in mid-January, buddy. This is insane.
It really is. And there's no real surprises except for maybe the New York Islanders. I mean, going in, the Islanders this year, who had been criminally slept on under Barry Trotz in years past, all of a sudden came in because, hey, they pushed Tampa to the brink in the last 2 conference finals. They were the betting favorite to win that division. Obviously, it's been miserable for them this year. They started out with 13 on the road and, have struggled. They're under 500 right now, albeit they've only played 31 hockey games along with the Ottawa Senators. But it's insane right now. I mean, the Boston Bruins right now hold the 8th spot, that second wild card. They've got 46 points in 35 games. Next up is the Detroit Red Wings. They're 5 less points and have played 5 less games. So, I mean, the fact that the schedule is so screwed up right now is a huge factor. And Gordon Miller, I think, put out actually a pretty helpful tweet yesterday with the points percentage of the teams right now, because, for instance, you can see, Detroit, they're only 5 games back of Boston. They're right there. Well, not when Boston has 5 extra games to be played. So it's important to sort of note that. And I guess one great thing for us, we've had a pretty crappy month with so many of these games postponed, but we are going to be getting into February when we were supposed to be getting Olympic hockey. That isn't going to be happening, but we're going to be busy because I do believe in the next week or so we'll be getting somewhat of a schedule and rescheduling a ton of these games. Unfortunately, many of them probably will be played without fans or limited capacities, but at least we'll have the games to talk about and, most importantly, sprinkle on here in the Lock Shop.
All right, before we wrap up, did you have anything for the Australian Open? Is there anything did you have a parlay or?
Yeah. I'm already ready for the first draw. I might have to start retweeting out more picks for other draws, but
as you should.
This is right along the lines of the 2 winners I had last night. We're going to take a few favorites, some more than others, put them together, and expect them to go in. We're going to start off with Victoria Azarenka. Azarenka right at the top of the list. She might be the first match on, actually, when things get going around 6 o'clock today. So Azarenka's minus 400. The lowest odds on this one is Camelia Giorgi, Giorgi. She's taking on a player named Martinkova. Georgia's minus 169. Eva Svitolina is a heavy favorite at minus 476. And I'm going to add on Jesse Pegula. It's been a big week for the Pegula family. Of course, they are the owners of the Bills and the Sabres, and their daughter is a hell of a tennis player. And she's particularly good on the hard courts. She's a minus 250 favorite over a player named Pera. So Azarenka at minus 400, Georgie at minus 169, Svitolina at minus 476, and Pegula at minus 250. Put those together, we're getting plus 237. So I'm going to take some of that tennis money. I'm going to throw it on that and hopefully pay for some golf winners, maybe a nice hockey parlay tonight. and then just continue focusing all of my positive energy on the playoffs this weekend. And of course, nothing but good thoughts for Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. The Bills Chiefs game is going to be so awesome. I still think, like, what was the more impressive performance last week for a quarterback? Was it Allen just simply scoring a touchdown every time they had the football? Or was it Mahomes with a record 5 passing touchdowns, Dusty, in 10.5 minutes of game time? The previous playoff record for 5 passing touchdowns in a playoff game was by Tom Brady, was 25 minutes. They literally scored 5 touchdowns in 10 minutes. So I don't know. I mean, it's a toss up.
That's a great question, though. Actually, buddy, that's a great question. Like, to score a touchdown every single time you get the ball is very impressive, but to score 5 majors in 10 minutes of game time is insane as well. I don't even know what I would say to that question. That's a good one. Well,
you know what? We're going to have a tiebreaker, and it's at 5:30 on Sunday afternoon at Arrowhead Stadium. And, no one's going to care about what happened last week when they kick off in that final game of the 4-week. To be honest, the Super Wildcard weekend was awesome with the 2 extra games, although there wasn't a lot of drama in the games. This, for my money, coming up, we'll hit it on Friday's Lock Shop, the best football weekend of the season. 2 games Saturday, 2 games Sunday, the best 8 teams in the league. It's going to be phenomenal. The odds are up right now if you want to get on them early, and we'll see if you can continue your red hot hand on Friday's Lock Shop. But hey, never mind Friday. Hopefully we can pull out a few more dubs tonight and keep this thing rolling.
Let's cash a few hockey games tonight before we wrap up Lock Shop. Huss, Winnipeg Sports Talk today. What do you got coming up, buddy?
Yeah, we actually have a real big show today. Looking forward to it. Ted Wyman from the Sun's going to join us. We'll have a little more on the Jets' big game tonight against the Washington Capitals. Ted, also our go-to guy for many of the curling topics. And, of course, that's huge here. Jennifer Jones going to the Olympics. An interesting story today about what they're dealing with right now, trying to essentially be in their own bubbles before heading over to China and not having the damn virus screw everything up. So we'll get to that with Ted. Mo Khan, one of my favorite guys to talk about. Mo's coming on, and we were going to get into a bunch of NFL and CFL talk, and then the Habs hired a new general manager. So we'll hit on a few of those topics with Mo. And then certainly locally, one of the big stories this year has been the play of the Manitoba Moose. So many, really, really grade A prospects getting a chance to dip their feet in the water with the Winnipeg Jets. And even with the COVID and all the players called up, they just continue to grind out wins and grind out points. So the new head coach of the Moose, Mark Morrison, is also going to join us today to talk about the season so far. And again, if you haven't seen that, Winnipeg Sports Talk, you can subscribe with your podcast wherever you're getting the Lock Shop, or join us on YouTube. We go live every day at 1:00 p.m. And just search Winnipeg Sports Talk, hit that red subscribe button, and join us usually right after we bang out the Lock Shop here at noon.
Another episode of Lock Shop coming your way on Friday as we get you set for another playoff weekend in the National Football League. Huss, I'll talk to you then, and make sure you get some sleep. I know the Australian Open's going to keep you up, but you need your rest for Friday's show, buddy.
Well, that's true. And you know what? You need your rest for Wednesday's show. While you plug what's happening on Winnipeg Sports Talk, and we just quickly mention what's happening on the Nielsen show. We, of course, are draft aficionados, but I think the one that you're doing tomorrow, considering the current plight of the Oilers, might be the most interesting one that's been done since the pandemic began.
Yeah, it's a big one. 9:05 Mountain Time on TSN 1260, Nielsen Show. Wednesday, we'll be doing a draft of the biggest mistakes the Oilers have made over the last 30 years. And the original plan, we're like, well, there's going to be 4 of us. Maybe we go 6 rounds. That'll be 24 picks. And we're like, this is 30 years. We can come up with 32 picks. So we're going 8 rounds deep. You have to draft at least 1 draft pick related mistake, 1 signing mistake, 1 trade mistake, 1 comment that the organization would have liked to have taken back, and then there's 4 open categories as well. So, and you know what? For the comment one, like there's 5 or 6 off the top of my head that just jump out. So it's going to be a fun draft. We're using it as like a cleanse to clear the pipes of all the struggles and allow this team and franchise to finally move forward, Huss. This is the turning point in the season, man.
Well, I hope you're right. Certainly for all of your sakes out in Edmonton. And one way or the other, we'll see how it worked on Friday's lock shop, because the Oilers are in action against the Florida Panthers that we just gave the reach around to for 10 minutes and making our picks tonight. So we'll see what happens. But I will look forward to my show this afternoon, and I will definitely be tuned in tomorrow. That should be a heck of a lot of fun.
Sounds good, buddy. We'll talk to you Friday, man.
Right on. Stay hot, Dusty.